Yeah, we decided just to make this one episode to talk about 3 surprise deaths, that just happened. I guess they they used to say, it happens in threes, and in this case, it's, Hulk Hogan, Ozzy Osbourne, and Malcolm-Jamal Warner just happens to just die within days of each other, which was kinda shocking. We grew up on these people, and I thought maybe we should, take a time and kind of just, talk about our feelings about them as people, as actors, and also, the things about what made them such a, had such an impact in our lives.
Yeah, big loss entertainment overall. They're all
Yeah.
superstars in their, respective categories. And I
And
mean, they
so,
crossed over, right?
but we should also bring in our guest, and I want to hear his thoughts. So let's bring in Ray. Bring in Ray.
Hey guys, um, I, I, I
He
don't
brings
know.
a lot of energy to the show.
I don't know if I would say I'm like the critic, but I'm the guy that goes and watches movies.
Well, you have a lot of opinions.
Yeah.
Still, as we talk about, Hulk Hogan and Ozzy Osbourne and Malcolm Jamal Warner, I want you all, you could, you could chime in if you want, but we'll eventually get your takes on some of the movies you've seen recently. Let me start with Angel because Angel, when you heard about Hulk Hogan, you texted me and said that you wanted to talk about some of the movies that you kind of love this guy. I mean, you knew him as a professional wrestler. You knew him as kind of, anyone who grew raised in the '80s knew Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant. Those were the two mainstays, the two titans of wrestling. And but I think for particularly for Angel, his movies, his family movies, his iconic comedies from the '80s, cult classics, but I think you were very more familiar with that movies than I am, because I really only know Hulk Hogan from, like, say, his first appearance in Rocky,
Yeah,
in the
in
Rocky
Rocky
film.
3,
Yeah.
but then, he had the okay, you guys remember Gremlins 2?
Yeah.
There was 2 versions, yeah, there was 2 versions when the Gremlins took over the movie theater and they tried to break the 4th wall, and one of them was Hulk Hogan was in the movie theater, remember that? Usher comes down and then, say, "Excuse me, but we're having a problem, there's gremlins in the" and they started playing, it was a throwback to Snow White from the first Gremlins. So, were singing the "Hi-Ho," and then Hulk Hogan gets up and he does his whole, you know what I mean? Like, "If you guys don't knock it off, I'm gonna come up there." But he did star in his own feature-length film,
Yeah.
No Holds Barred, dude.
That's right,
It
with,
was
Tiny Lester.
Yeah, Zeus.
Mhm.
That's what he came out
Zeus.
as, Zeus. That's why a lot of people still knew him as Zeus, but it was one of the first times they were like, "Hey, you know what? We don't need an actor to bring people to the theater. This
Mm.
guy's huge. We're gonna throw together a basic story." It literally is every story from the '80s. They hurt the brother, killed the brother, whatever, they get revenge, he goes after the people. It's been done a million times, but dude, I remember this was one of the first movies I was, like, excited to go watch. And it was horrible, but it was awesome because it was a wrestler in a movie, you know what I mean? And Roddy Piper, he did They Live. I'm not sure time frame which one was done first, but that was more of a kind of like a serious sci-fi type of film, but this one
Mm.
was cheese the whole way through. But it was
I
great,
loved
dude.
it.
I think yeah, They Live's great. But I think on the No Holds Barred, I wanna say I saw it like 2 months ago, dude. Like, I've seen it that recently. 'Cause when it
You know
came out, you
what's
know what I
hard?
mean?
Good.
I never knew that was like a movie. I always thought it was a documentary because I
Oh.
remember always seeing it like in video stores. Like I never knew that was an actual feature film.
Oh,
My
yeah,
whole
no,
life,
it's a
I
movie.
always thought that was like Hulk Hogan's version of like Pumping Iron. That's what I always thought it was. And, like, if you look at the
Uh,
poster, it's not like it looks like that.
that's how cheesy it was, but I
Mm.
don't know if that was the WWE or WWF's first intro into movies, because now they've put
Oh,
out
maybe.
a lot of
Oh, they
stuff, yeah.
produced it?
It might have been their first, but I know they do movies now, but think
Yeah.
about it, so he did that, it was cheese, but without that, you know what I mean, there's no Rock, there's no
Mm.
Bautista, you know what I mean, that crossover, they he didn't go on to make a bunch of movies, but he did some TV shows and some stuff, so that allowed the bridge, that was kinda like like an affirmation that it can be done. And I mean, I think they should give him props for that. Like,
I mean,
dude, that movie was cheap.
Wait, so
was so bad.
was Mr. Cheap Rocky 2?
3.
3? And
Yeah.
Hulk Hogan was also in 3?
Yeah, he starts out in the beginning like they do it was what's that called? The charity where Rocky took on a wrestler, but he was like called Thunder Lips.
yeah.
And Hulk Hogan came out, and his whole thing was the ladies loved him, and he even like talked shit to Rocky's wife. Remember, like you getting real mad, or and then like even the little kid was afraid for his dad, and he said it's all fake, and he like does the backbreaker on him and everything. It was so cool, man. But that he was super young. That was like what 83. That was
Yeah.
real early.
And people got to remember, like, even though wrestling now is pretty popular, it's pretty big right now.
Super mainstream.
Super mainstream. Everyone probably knows, the main wrestling stars.
Yeah.
But back in the 80s, it was even more so. It was even more popular. It was in your face. Yeah, it was crossing over for the first time.
Because I mean, like these like wrestling shows, I mean, they sell out these like fucking stadiums, like 80,000 people, and like it's nuts.
Yeah, I think a lot of those fans must have been raised by the rise of the wrestling
And they get their
federation.
children into it, and they all kind of watch it as a family.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's got to be the first WrestleMania, because I remember before WrestleMania, it was like you'd watch a whole show and it was like a known guy against a nobody, and then the main event for every like weekly hour show was 2 known guys. Remember, because it was like a dude like the Iron Sheik, and then some dude that was just wearing regular pants. There was no gimmick to him. And then the main event was always 2 dudes, and then they had WrestleMania, and it was just people you knew, and people went ape shit. And they didn't think it could happen. And I think there's a lot of documentaries where it was like it wasn't going to happen, and then a lot of people came into the last minute, and then they were just it's like the upper epsilon. Like it just got so much money, and it proved that it could do it. But like Hulk was the big one. Was Hulk and it's got to be Andre, right? At the end, that was the big deal for.
Yeah, I think there were the 2 big superstars, and I would say, as much as you want to give credit to Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant was, with Princess Bride, was equally as popular and breakthrough. And Roddy Piper with They Live. I mean, this is why I say during the 80s, wrestling was really becoming mainstream for the first time and breaking into different formats, TV, movies, big films. And what's your feelings about Suburban Commando, the other big Hulk Hogan comedy of the early 90s? And
That one was funny. I mean, that one was super cheap because they had like didn't they have like oversized like shoulder pads and stuff?
yeah, he was like kind of a comic book
Yeah.
character. Yeah.
I mean, that one was I kind of wanted to forget that one, but yeah, but it was the same. It was all the same tropes. It was just a way to get him out there to get people, because it's like it like movies got smart. They're like, people go to movies, but we need to bring people that aren't movie people into the theater. So they put people that aren't in movies into the theater. It's whatever, asses and seats. That's the bottom line. And they got smart. They kind of started doing that shit. They started putting athletes after that in little cameos, just like everywhere.
Suburban Commando, man, that movie had like a great cast. I mean, Christopher Lloyd was like the father in that movie, and who was the mother? It was someone big too. I mean,
Shelley Duvall.
I mean, like, come on. And like, I remember when I was a little kid seeing the preview for that movie all the time, because when I was a little kid, I was obsessed with Ninja Turtles, and the trailer for that was on the VHS for the Secret of the Ooze. So every time I would watch that movie, I would see the trailers for Suburban Commando. But I actually didn't see the movie until like 2 months ago. I finally sat down and watched it. It was, I think, on it had to be on Tubi or like maybe Prime. Or maybe Prime, but I watched it, and I just watched the whole thing because it was just so unbelievably bad. And I was just so like and in awe of Hulk Hogan's terrible acting. But I mean, it's definitely a product of its times. And
Yeah,
I say that about the Secret of the Ooze as well.
Yeah, it's made for like 10-year-olds in the late 80s.
I find if you go back to some of those 90s movies, even like the Mario Brothers, the Super Mario Brothers film, there's a charm to those 90s movies because I think there is a craftsmanship, throughout.
that you don't see in movies these days.
Yeah, there's something about even though Suburban Commando was, a cheaply made movie, it was still probably made by New Line Cinema or something like
It
that.
was.
And so it still had a studio backing, and so what that meant was that there was still a quality to it. And so even though completely cheesy, completely bad acting, you could appreciate the least the level of craftsmanship with at least the artists behind the scenes.
I know what you're saying, and I totally agree, especially with New Line. Like, if you look at, like, for example, like the Freddy Krueger movies, like those movies, like it was like before like really visual effects how they are today. So they had to really get creative on how to bring those things to life. And I love that about a lot of the New Line films, but I don't think that really applies to Suburban Commando.
Well, I haven't seen
Coming
I
from
haven't
someone
seen that,
that watched it recently.
Yeah,
But I know what you're
there
saying.
are some movies from the 90s that don't hold up at
Oh,
all.
there's a lot. Yeah.
But those older movies, it seems like they were made by people who liked the subject, and now it's just like people that are getting like an email like at
Oh, yeah.
your job. This is your next project. Oh fuck, let me go research it. But those guys were like, fuck, Ninja Turtles. Oh,
Yeah,
I love it.
that's so true, man. Especially with like a lot of it seems like almost like with like half the Marvel hires are like that these days for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. They're like, okay, what's a hot indie director that we could push around?
To speak to him as a personality, it was really incredible. It was really incredible to see someone that was able to break through, had so much class. I mean, there's, and I think it's his take away the man, the personality or the character that he created is kind of timeless in a way because there was just a recent TikTok where he had an interaction with a little kid on TikTok, and this kid who's probably 5 years old is doing the whole Hulk Hogan bit. He's doing the
I remember seeing that actually.
yeah, he's breaking the t-shirt, and he's doing the whole bits.
Well, let me tell you
Something, brother. When you walk in this beat shop, I'm surprised that you still got the shirt on, Jack.
Well, let me tell you something, Hulkster. The first time I met you, I was only 3 years old, but now I'm 6 years old. So now we gotta take it to a bigger level, man. Just like when you press that no good stinking giant over your head and slam them right through the canvas in front of 93,000 Hulkamaniacs. So what are they gonna do when the power of the Hulkster and the roaster and the dual 24-inch pythons run wild on you?
Whoa!
And it's still, even that character has been 40 years or more. It's still kind of an incredible timeless character that every kid, every generation kind of picks up and becomes. It's just a fascinating thing.
But I think him and Cena, dude, I think they're weird, not weird. They're elevated to a different stature because they never not commit when it's a kid. You know what I mean? They don't say I'm busy. You've never heard them shun anybody. You've never seen that like a tape of them being assholes. They like love their fans. But I was gonna say when you were asking about the surprise, dude, if you look at wrestlers, they don't live past like mid-40s, dude.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the roids or what they do to their bodies. They don't live long at all. So when I found out he was like 72, right?
Something
I
like
think
that. Yeah.
and was a heart
In the
attack. I'm like,
70s,
dude,
yeah.
he did good, man. He lasted longer than a lot of them do.
So that's Hulk Hogan. Depending on how you see him as back then or as him now. Rest in peace. Another big shocking news that also came out this past week or so was the death of Ozzy Osbourne, which I mean, I guess, it was not that shocking because considering that he has his troubled past of drug abuse and also his health issues and stuff like that. So wasn't too much of a shock, but it's still kind of incredible that, just a couple of weeks ago, he was touring around.
Yeah.
He was doing the last
his final show. His final
final
show.
show. Yeah.
I think he only played for like 30 minutes.
But he was still up and running around, and he was still kind of Still,
I don't. To be
maintain it.
honest, though, I kind of like wonder, like if, like, did that final show, like, did it take too much out of him? Like, I almost wonder, like, would he have like been around for like another year or two if he didn't do that show? Like,
Well, that's an interesting.
he did he did a show a few years ago, and in Indio, California for Power Trip. He was supposed to. It was a big festival, and then like I think a week or two before the festival, they canceled it because he was too sick and he couldn't perform. And he was only going to perform for 20 minutes. So like, so now like years later, they're like, I always thought this concert was wrong. I thought he should not do it. I always felt it was Sharon just forcing him to do it for money. So I feel so disgusted about this whole thing. But I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I don't know what's really going on. But I just feel if a few years ago he wasn't well enough to do that show in Indio for only 25 minutes, then why was he okay now? That's just my take.
Big question.
I'm sorry, I have to interject. Me being a big fan of Sean Clark from Malfunction, he recently just put a video about Ozzy, his interaction with Ozzy, and he said that Ozzy was 100% wanted to do more concerts, or he wanted to perform more, and it was not.
I
It
believe
was no
it.
Sharon's idea. It was at all.
Okay.
So
I
What
believe
shit-
that, but I
Take
I-
it
I
easy,
still don't
Stu.
think- I still
Who
don't
brought
think
this guy up on the
Hey man, I had to interject. I mean, this is.
But there should have been people
Watch it
around
video.
him.
Watch this video. Malfunction.com.
But there's got to
Just
gotta
like
be
Sean.
Well, first off, that's producer Rich. We all know that he's Team Sharon. We're over here. We're not Team Sharon. We're Team Ozzy. We're all Team Ozzy.
Yeah.
And I know that I look, even like from the very beginning of the reality show, I always felt that Sharon had too much power over, what he's able to do. Blah 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 blah.
That's what. That's any wife.
Sure, no, but she's the manager too of his
Oh.
career, and she's.
But the people that loved him should have told him to slow down, take it easy.
Yeah,
You
and
know what I
also
mean?
like from people that I've heard that actually met him at like Monster Palooza, they all say that he was not in in the condition to even be signing
Well,
autographs.
Oh no, but it's not the same situation as Stanley. That's all I'm saying. He
Oh,
wanted to do. He wanted to do more. It
Okay,
was.
yeah,
He
But
said that.
I don't think he's
During the past 2 years that after his Parkinson's started hitting him hard, it was him. It was Ozzy that was being down. He was down, and it wasn't up to. It wasn't. It was the signings that just happened that brought life back to him. And they like
Right.
wanted to do that concert, so that's what I'm
It's
saying.
like is that like the runner's high at the end of the race?
Yeah.
He wanted to go out
It
with a bang.
was just like just something to keep him going, kind of thing.
Yeah, he wanted
That's
to
exactly what he
I
because
don't-
he was paid. But yeah, I mean, go ahead.
No, I don't doubt that he loves to be on tour and do the concert, but some
Oh,
you know,
definitely.
some
'Cause
of
I mean, he was performing throughout the 2000s. I mean, he was doing
Yeah.
Ozfest for so long, but I mean, that all came to an end, a long time ago.
and also someone should just said like there's times you have to retire, but that's family
Well, no,
stuff.
this was it.
I don't want
This was it. I mean, this was the big goodbye.
Right. This is the final tour. At least it wasn't as bad as Frankie Valley. You ever see any Frankie Valley videos?
back.
Kids
Come on.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're
see,
doing-
that's
they're
gonna
doing
be
No, but
Frankie
if-
Valley. There'll be Frankie Valley. Four Frankie,
Yeah, if
or
you see-
there'll be 2 Frankie Valleys in the Kiss.
If you ever see a video of Frankie Valley performing now, will
Oh shit, he's still
blow
alive.
your mind.
Yeah, I
blow your
he
mind.
does do tours. I forgot.
He's
remember
singing.
Yeah, I
He's
remember
looking
when I
like a
saw him
robot.
touring,
It looked like an animatronic. It's incredibly. I don't know what it is. It's laughable if you think it's a joke, but then
I think it's laughable seeing the videos of the Beach Boys performing now. That's pretty
Well,
bad.
anyway, that's my 2 cents. I'm out.
all right. Thank you, producer Rich. But let's get back to the
But let's talk to his legacy, about the man's legacy.
go for it, Ray.
I mean, he's the godfather of metal, right? I mean, and Black Sabbath, I mean, the whole kind of doom metal is iconic. I mean, his influence you hear in rock music until this day. And I mean, he's just like Hulk Hogan, but in a better way. He's so iconic. You know what I mean? He's one of those people that even years after he's gone, decades, centuries after he's gone, people are always going to just know that face. You know what I mean? Even if they don't know his music, they'll know him. And that, this was really sad, but at the same time, like we all knew it was going to happen eventually. Because I mean, the whole Parkinson's, it was really killing him. I think this past decade, it had gotten really bad. And I remember when I was a little kid, like watching the Osbournes, like even back then, I was like, man, his health is just so bad. And it's amazing that he made it this far.
Yeah, I think that's true. Especially for someone who abused him, with drugs, and also, he was kind of already out there, from when he was young. He was kind of already, the story of him biting the bat. It's like it's legend now, but I mean, it was shocking, extremely shocking back then. Angel, what was your thoughts of Ozzy? Your thoughts on maybe even watching the show Osbournes?
I I haven't watched it in forever, but I watched it. I think it gave birth to the whole the Family Jewels, the Gene Simmons shows. I think I'm not gonna say it started reality TV, but it definitely let people cross that bridge. And I think people are fascinated by it because these are icons to them, but they want to see them like as an everyday person. And me personally, I think it fucks it up. Because I remember not his show, but I remember watching Family Jewels with Gene Simmons, right? Huge kiss, blah blah blah. And then I remember him having to pick up dog shit. And like everybody in the house leaving it for him. And him picking it up because nobody else was gonna do it. I'm like, dude, you're a bazillionaire. Pay someone to pick up that shit. And then when somebody asked him, he said, I can just pick it up. I don't have to pay anybody. But it's like, holy shit, you're like a regular dude. But so sometimes, you know what I mean? It's the insight, but like it's weird because you were saying that they'd know his face, but not his music. So my daughter, she does competitive cheer and all that shit. And they know his music, but not him. Like because his intros, they love to use that shit to start like to bring in like they're like when they first start setting up, like she doesn't know that he sings Crazy Train, but I've seen it start a lot of their shows and their routines. And they mix it up, of course, like with the dance. And I'll also see like my kids' sports teams. Like when they introduce the team, like before the football game, before the wrestling matches, they have the walkouts and they play the songs. And it's those songs they're gonna be forever. Like you were saying, Raymond. They're not gonna go away. They're part of the fabric. They're great intro songs. Even if you're into rap, his intro to, he will be missed for sure.
I mean, even like his music is sampled in rap music.
Oh yeah. Because good is fucking good. Doesn't matter what you're into, good is good.
As someone who used to listen to Howard Stern back in the 90s, one of the best bits was when Ozzy would come on with his kids. And I think a lot of this inspired the show, the Osbourne show. But before the reality show, he would come on guest appearances, and Howard would request him to come on with his kids because it would humanize him. Because before, he was kind of known as the crazy guy who bit the bat. He was kind of satanic. He had this aura about him of being a devil or being a werewolf, like from the covers. And to bring him on and have to deal with his kids on air on the Howard Stern show had to inspire what ended up being the reality show. So, and I remember loving those guest appearances because I wasn't never that big of an Ozzy fan, but I was certainly never missed a guest appearance on the Howard Stern show to listen to him to deal with his kids and how his kids just kind of mistreat him and think he was just an idiot. And then that kind of continued with the show as they got older as teenagers and I don't know how they are now, but it was just funny. So hopefully, hopefully in Raymond's point that he is probably best remembered as for his music, his contribution in music, and people might just forget the reality show. And hope that's my hope, because I think I think to only remember this man as just the reality guy is just kind of a bad taste. It leaves a bad taste in your mouth.
But he
If
does
that's
have
the
to be
case.
like I think the first celebrity to do reality TV, right?
In that
Was it Trump?
capacity, who was that?
Was it Trump?
No.
Oh, you mean for a
He had a show.
Yeah, and
That was after, right? That was after.
yeah, that was after. That was in the early 2000s, but in the late 90s,
That was
it was
scripted
honestly
anyway. This is like following this fool around, watching his family treat him like shit.
and I think it was scripted as well, but he might be the only one who was not scripted on that show, because he would scream and famously was like Sharon, and then like there was something in I would say this, like in that reality show, there was something extremely likable about him, and that you didn't
Yeah,
get from the stage show, because he was kind of this, the devil, the master of heavy metal, like
you
this,
liked
a
him more
different
than his
character.
family for sure, man.
Yeah, yeah,
Assholes, dude.
yeah.
They were horrible.
We should also, so rest in peace. I mean, we should all say rest in peace, rest in power, Ozzy Osbourne. He will be remembered for his music, hopefully, and remember for what he he contributed to heavy metal. I mean, like, to say that you are the father of heavy metal. That's something. That's really something. And a lesser degree, and maybe not lesser degree, maybe I didn't have to say that, but I mean, we got to talk about Malcolm-Jamal Warner. But I would say a big tragedy, because this guy shouldn't have died. I mean, it's drowning death.
The whole story is horrific.
Yeah, it's horrific. He's on vacation. He's with his daughter.
Wait, how old is the daughter? Because when I was thinking daughter, I'm thinking like 5, 6-year-old, but he's our age. She was only
Yeah, I'm not
8.
sure. She was
What's
only
he doing with the 8-year-old though? She should have been in her 30s, right? He's pushing 60. Yeah.
It says here 54, but he was in Costa Rica vacationing. His daughter, and apparently he was there because his daughters had like kind of a schooling in Costa Rica, or some kind of connection. I mean, there was a connection about her education over there, and he was just basically just take a nice swim, and it ended up the current took him over, and it's really kind of miraculous that his daughter didn't pass away either.
Well, 2 lifeguards went out, right? And then one
Yeah.
got the daughter, and then they came back out for him, but they said he was actually at the bottom. Like they had to go down.
It's a horrible story, and maybe even more shocking than the other two, because like you did not expect. I mean, like you were saying, he's only a few years older than us, and
Yeah, this was accident all the way. Yeah.
yeah.
Like,
So
right.
it's even more shocking to see his name as passed, as someone who's passed away. To maybe not a lot of people remember Malcolm-Jamal Warner, but for us, the Cosby Show
It's
is
Theo.
iconic. It's iconic.
Yeah.
He was Theo. Yeah, he was Theo. He was one of the great highlights of the show, and then Bill Cosby's son in the show. And one of the great characters of the family. I mean, I think even more so than maybe even Lisa Bonet or something like that. You kind of remember
the
Theo.
character of the show.
Yeah.
Well, he was the only like troubled character. Like everyone else was like perfect.
Yeah, didn't he have he had what where you mix up the words and shit, remember? Because he was doing real bad in school.
Dyslexia.
Dyslexia, and then dude, he's the reason why Sandler got on TV.
Yeah.
He was one of Sandler's friends. Was one of his friends in high school. I mean, he would have
Was that right?
ended up. Yeah.
Oh,
That's
I
the
didn't
first
know
time I
that.
saw him.
I didn't know that. You mean in real life they were friends?
No. On the show.
In the show, right?
Yeah,
right,
he
right.
showed up. Yeah.
Right.
But I'm just saying that, you know what I mean? That's
Right.
his first time I saw him.
He'll always pop
Sandler.
up in the background and have that one line. Like I think he was like, "What we're doing this time, Theo."
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate that what happened to Bill Cosby, that they took off Cosby Show, because it's still really a good show. It's still really a funny show. take away what Cosby is now.
Then also, well, they probably just don't air it because it's like, they have other shows that they play on syndication because that's like old, right? I think on syndication they play like 90s and 2000s shows, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But do you think with the death of Malcolm-Jamal Warner, does that open the door to start playing the Cosby Show?
Hopefully.
Probably on like a more obscure channel, like some.
I mean, there's
daytime.
thousands of streaming channels right now, free, commercial spot, and they could easily put this on one of those streaming show or channels.
Yeah,
But
platforms.
Platform. I mean, I know a lot of people have these conflicted feelings about Bill Cosby, but it would be not correct to say that the Cosby Show, even though it's named the Cosby Show, only centered around Bill Cosby's character.
It's an ensemble show.
Yeah, but he was America's dad for a while, dude. He was we didn't grow up with the dad, so we watched the show all the time. This is gonna sound weird, but that's where I learned to shave. There was an episode where, remember, he was teaching Theo how to shave, and Theo had like 400 pounds on his face, and so the dad's like scraping it off, and he's like, showing him how to just do a little. And it's sad because I was always wondering, like, how the fuck am I gonna learn how to shave? Because I think I was like 13 or something, and I like saw my sister's razor, and I would have just went at it to my face, and then I was like, okay, I don't shave now, but I'm just saying that was the show that did it, and the interactions were pretty good, and like Raymond was saying, there was parts where it was serious, and whenever the serious parts happened, they were like real shit. They weren't like serious, but it'll never happen to you. They were like serious that was gonna happen, like drugs, drinking, all that.
Getting a lesson.
Yeah, I think there were,
without being a PSA.
Particularly with those shows in the 80s and the early 90s, they were very conscious of trying to have a lesson, and also be conscious of like trying to better people, and it has the kind of this intent of like trying to help out families, and I like you mentioned, you learning how to shave with the Cosby Show. I remember growing pains, which are very similar, but I remember, and this lesson has always been with me, but it's the idea of separating the art from the artist, and that's why I kind of
People don't believe that these days.
I know it's such a foreign concept. That's why I could say I could still watch the Cosby Show now, even though Bill Cosby is undeniably a complete bastard of a person.
And I can still watch Woody Allen movies. Okay, we just got canceled. We're off the air.
I can still watch any day of the week. I could just watch Seven, and I don't care, and I still come off saying,
Oh yeah,
Kevin Smith is really,
barely
or
in that movie.
Kevin Spacey is very, very good in the movie, but
He's barely in it.
I know. But here's the thing: Growing Pains had an episode where the dad was taking the younger brother to a concert, and he was a fan of this rock concert, or this rock star who was played by Brad Pitt at the time. This is one of Brad Pitt's first early parts.
Thelma and Louise.
Yeah, this is him, and the dad, the Alan Thicke character, he wanted to get an autograph for his young son, and he goes back behind the scenes and the backstage. He goes to the backstage trying to get an autograph, and the guy's a complete asshole, Brad Pitt. And then he eventually, he finds out that, oh, this guy's a complete dick, and he still gets the autograph, but he doesn't tell that to his young son. He doesn't tell it to I forgot the kid's name. It's not Kirk Cameron. It's the other kid, the younger kid.
Ben.
Yeah. And
Ben Seaver, man.
Ben Seaver, right. So Ben gets the autograph. He's very excited. He sees Brad Pitt, or sees the star, and he goes, oh, he goes to go, say hello to him. He barges into the back room, and he sees Brad Pitt with this girl, and he goes, that's not your wife, or what, I forgot, or that's not your girlfriend. I can't remember what it was. And he goes, get that kid out of here. He screams at the security guard. And the whole lesson of the show was that he goes, Ben, you could still, because like at the show, he kind of gets rid of the albums. He's tired, he's ripping the poster off the
Not a
walls.
fan. Yeah.
He's not a fan anymore, right? Because he was an asshole to him.
Life.
He's cheated on his wife. He's not the superstar in his mind.
Well, people
And-
let celebrities get away with a lot more these days.
but Alan Thicke goes to him this is the end of the show. This is the big lesson. He goes, Ben, you can separate the art from the artist. You could hate the guy, but you can still love his music. It's fine. You don't have to like the guy to like the music. It's different. And I always kept that in my mind. I always kept like, you know what? Yeah, he's kind of right. I mean, and I think we kind of lost that over the years, over the decades, that it was somehow we kind of wanted to combine the two. We can't separate the art from the artist. So,
Wait, you know what's weird? Growing pains. You're talking about growing pains.
Yeah.
Dude. Okay, dude. Well, I don't know. This show must have been more iconic than I thought. Okay, this is gonna be horrible, but the growing pains showed me that the world doesn't revolve around me. There was an episode where Mike Seaver played hooky, right? He didn't go to
Interesting,
school. He didn't study for a test. And all of a sudden he's
the ball.
no, that was Boner's thing, dude. And so like he's going through there, his mom's making him do all this stuff, and then all of a sudden he hears the school bus dropping off kids. And he told his mom, he's like, wait, the school bus came. And she goes, yeah, people had to come over to school. And he said, but I didn't go to school. And she said, you were aware that everybody else still went to school. School still happened. All your friends still went. They all talked. And he's like, no, but I didn't go. And she's like, people aren't there just for you. They don't not show up when you don't show up. And I was thinking, holy shit, that's right. Like, if I don't go to school, that school still happens. Like, when you see people drive by and you're thinking, shit, they all have the same stuff in their lives. It's freaky because that's too much stuff to be happening. All out of control. Like, it made me feel weird because I couldn't believe that there were that many things happening at one time and there was nobody in charge of everything. You know what I mean? But that made me realize the world did not revolve around me. It was weird.
I don't know. Like I was saying, like there's a lot of shows like that in the 80s where it was impactful, and I could go on to what Family Ties taught me. I could go on what Facts of Life. I learned the facts of life.
By watching it. What?
No, but all those shows were kind of, and I don't think anyone can learn anything from the shows nowadays.
No, I think they probably recycled the same ideas, honestly.
Okay.
I mean, I haven't kept up, but I mean, I'm pretty sure they probably just recycled the same stuff, right?
I hope.
Except-
I mean,
My daughter watched Love Island and she didn't get shit from that.
that's what. Yeah, is there a show that's like?
Is that a sitcom? I thought that was like a reality show.
That's
it is. I don't know if there's any sitcoms anymore though. Like
There was spin-offs to Big Bang Theory that focused on families, right? I'm pretty sure it had life lessons. Like there was like a spin-off
Sheldon.
is on the brother or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a Sheldon, and then there was the brother that got married. Him and his
spin-offs. Yeah. I'm pretty sure some of those, recycled some of those. Even like I remember Fresh Prince from Bel-Air recycled a lot of that stuff, and yeah.
But those are close on the timelines, though. Like two of those shows, they were like right on the heels. But I probably since the 2000s, like they'll do like
there was a time. There was a time, I think, like in the late 90s, early 2000s, where sitcoms started to shift and focus more on friends instead of families.
Yeah,
but I think
they show Friends.
Yeah, that's true. But I think they've been kind of shifting back to families, right? No,
I hope so.
Yeah, I haven't watched like Modern Family. I haven't watched any of these. Like, yeah, I haven't watched any of these big comedies in a while. So I don't know what kind of lessons are taught. I'm sure. Yeah, I think you're right. Maybe you're right. There are lessons to be learned in those shows. Yeah.
I don't think they rang home the way they did before.
Oh, probably not.
Well, certainly not for us because we're older now. But I mean, like, I think for whatever generation.
Children.
Yeah, they probably still have strong feelings for it. Yeah. So Malcolm-Jamal Warner, tragic story.
Lisa Bonet, dude, I loved her ever since the first time I saw her. Man, Still do. She's gorgeous, bro. She was my first crush.
Rest in peace to Malcolm-Jamal Warner.
Sorry, Malcolm.